for joining us this evening. Regular scheduled council meeting of the Park City City Council on January 8th, 2019 at 7 p.m. Dee, would you call the roll?
John Hare. George Glover.
Here.
Ben Salcetta.
Here.
Melvin Kerr.
Here.
Tom Jones.
Here.
George Capps.
Here.
Brandy Bailey. Here. Jim Schrader.
Here.
Mr. Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Tonight, Pastor Bob Darnell is going to lead in the invocation, and Councilman Melvin Kerr is going to lead in the pledge. If everybody please stand.
Almighty God, as we come before you this evening, to weigh in the balance of things to be decided, Lord, in this solemn assembly, God, Lord, I pray, have your way upon every one of our lives, God. Lord, in the men who protect our streets and watch over us, God, give them safety, Father. Lord, and those men, Lord, and women, Lord, that are in this council, Lord, bless their lives. But Lord, we know, God, that it's only through you, Lord. Lord, that we are able, Lord, to have wisdom, Lord, in all matters concerning this city. So, Lord, bless each and every one of the men and the women, Father. And, Lord, those that are here to speak concerns, Lord, bless their lives. In your name we pray, Heavenly Father. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. The first item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. George?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
And Jim?
And I second that.
We have a motion and a second. Not seeing any further discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion passes 7-0. We don't have anything for awards or presentations this evening, but we do have Chris Upchurch with WAMPO signed up for a public forum.
Thank you. I'm Chris Upchurch. I'm with the Wichita Area Metropolitan Planning Organization. We're an intergovernmental organization that does transportation planning for the greater Wichita area. We also disperse about $12 million a year in federal funds to our local jurisdictions for transportation projects. And I'm here today to talk to you about our Metropolitan Transportation Plan. This is our big long-range plan, looks out 20 years, is really a vision for what transportation is going to be like in the metro area over that time period. And it sets the direction for how we disperse those federal funds. So what I'd like to do is give a real brief summary of where WAMPO sees transportation in our region today and where we see it going over the next 20 years. And then I'm looking for your thoughts on what elements we should emphasize and maybe what we've left out of this overview that you think is important for us to consider as we update our Metropolitan Transportation Plan. So I always like to start out by talking about safety. Fatalities in our region are headed up, unfortunately. They've been going up for about the past 10 years. And more recently, we've also seen an uptick in fatal or serious accidents involving bicyclists and pedestrians. So two of our major safety statistics are headed in the wrong direction. On congestion, better news. We have very little congestion in the Wichita region. Our model says the average afternoon rush hour trip has about 26 seconds of congestion on it. Nevertheless, we do have some localized bottlenecks, areas like the North Junction, where we have spot issues, but it's not something that's sort of region-wide the way it is in some other places. Can't talk about transportation without talking about money. Our outlook for federal funding is that it's probably going to remain pretty flat. At the state level, the Kansas Department of Transportation has had a bunch of money moved out of its budget to plug holes elsewhere by the legislature. And we're seeing at this point that has caused them some serious issues in their ability to deliver projects in our region. Talking about demographics, this is an area with fairly slow population growth, less than 1% per year. we're seeing an increased share of seniors in our region, not just people getting older, but people choosing to remain here when they retire rather than move off maybe to Florida or Arizona the way previous generations did. On the other end of the spectrum, we're seeing millennials and Generation Z folks aging into adulthood and coming into the workforce. And both of these are combining to have more single-person and childless households in the region. You got empty nesters on the senior end. You got folks on the younger end who are waiting longer to get married and have kids. And that's affecting what sort of place people want to live. Maybe if you're a 1 or 2 person household, you're not as interested in the standard suburban house, more interested in multifamily housing, apartments and duplexes, greater density, and that's having impacts on our land use. So looking into the future, we're seeing possible futures for the region. One might be riding these demographic trends, seeing more high-density development, both in downtown Wichita and town centers developing out in some of our outlying communities like Park City. Other possible futures could involve that transportation funding I talked about earlier. Maybe the funding situation gets worse and we have to have regional leadership to develop local sources of dollars to make up that gap. Maybe we don't make up that gap and we just have to do less, don't build as many projects. Maybe think about not maintaining some of the things that we've got. Finally, a big player in the future is going to be technology, both very transportation-focused stuff like autonomous vehicles, cars that can drive themselves, but also even non-transportation technologies, remote work, people working online. Each person who does that takes a rush hour trip off the road, which has a big impact on transportation. So that is a very, very brief summary of the sorts of things we're looking at. And as I said, we're looking for input from this body and from members of the public. What should our transportation system of the future look like? What should we be thinking about as we go forward with our 20-year planning process?
Fantastic. So as far as public engagement, do you have anything that's online where people can engage with some of these questions that you may have?
Yes, we've got an online survey. It's on the flyer that I think Jack handed out to the council members, and I have other copies for any members of the audience who are interested in that. They can follow that link, and we have a series of questions asking essentially what I've asked here. What things should we be taking into account as we go forward with this planning process?
Okay. Just want to make sure we get that on our website and in our social media too. Tom?
I'd like to add there's an opportunity that if organizations wants to have a workshop or something like that, we can probably set that up so that they can come in detail and talk about what's going on and look at input, what input that organization or group could put back. So,
yeah, we're happy to come out and talk to other government bodies here in Park City or private groups.
All right. Thank you very much. I'm not seeing any further questions. We appreciate your time this evening.
Thank you.
That's all we have for public forum this evening. So we'll move to staff reports, and we'll start with our Assistant City Administrator.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This evening, it's an exciting opportunity. We are going to be unveiling our new flag, and we are planning on doing that in a community celebration event, which will be February 16th. That's a Saturday. It will be 4 to 6. It is going to be an outdoor event, and we are going to have patio heaters. So we do know that it could be cold outside. The reason we want to have this outside is because we're going to raise the flag, and we're inviting the community that was involved in bringing this together through the public engagement process that we went through. This is how this flag was developed. So it is Park City's flag. It belongs to our community, and we want to have a celebration. We're planning on that evening to have entertainment, and that will be provided by Hyper Lee. I think it's pronounced Lay, and her band. We will have promotional items to give away. Park City Pride will be assisting us in the effort, and they are going to be providing hot chocolate for the citizens that come, and they will be in mugs that will have the flag on it. We will be giving away items that are flag related, and we will have food trucks, and we will have a backdrop with the flag on it so people can do selfies, and we can celebrate and start this process of getting our flag out into the community. and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
George?
How many flags is the city ordering up front to start with?
Well, George, I apologize, but I don't have that information in front of me because we have some various sizes that we have put together that we will be ordering. And I would like to thank the Convention and Tourism Committee because they're sponsoring this event and all of those items, including the flags. And our committee will be putting together information where businesses will be able to either receive a flag or purchase a flag. So I can't tell you the number, so I apologize.
Oh, that's fine. I just
don't have that off the top of my head.
Thank you. Ben?
I am really excited about this opportunity here come February 16th. And so I wanted to say thank you to Dana and Jack for their help in guiding there along, getting the committee and the public involved into where we're at today, and looking forward to February coming around. So I think if I remember right, there's going to, you mentioned some of the promotional items that were out there, but there's going to be some stickers, all sorts of fun things. So it should be a great time. So I invite the public to come on out.
George?
Yeah, I'm also excited about that. Thank Dana for your efforts and the team effort that was part of this. But just to see something new in Park City and for everybody to be vested in that and come out and enjoy it and kind of socialize with their neighbors at this point. One question, where'd you say this was going to be again, Dana?
It's going to be here at the City Administration Building.
From 4 to 6?
Yes, and once again, there will be tables and chairs and patio heaters.
Okay.
In the event that it's really cold, and it'll just be an opportunity to come out and celebrate and start this off in a great way, just to push this flag out and to promote Park City Pride.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dana. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right, next we'll hear from our Director of Public Works.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. Public Works report for January 8th, 2019. Parks Department, we did some tree removal and tree trimming in both McLean and Osage Park. We prepped and painted 2 skateboard ramps at McLean Park. We used 2-part epoxy. It should have a long life with that. We ordered 4 benches for the new basketball court in Pawson Park, and the goals are actually in place now, and the concrete will be poured tomorrow. Parks Department also removed a very large sycamore tree in Longmont due to a water main break. And the Christmas tree recycling area will be at the west end of McLean Park through January 23rd. Street Department, we grinded 2 significant speed bumps spanning both lanes on 61st Street down by Quick Trip. And we received 54 tons of road salt and winter prep. Added base rock and gravel to 65th Street and 49th Street and graded that out. We also repaired and replaced a few damaged and outdated signs citywide. The Water Sewer Department conducted 2 yard repairs and tree trimming around the Coliseum boost pump station. We installed 4 brand new residential service connections, repaired the water main break on Longmont Street, and responded to a sewer backup on Denver Street, unclogged and cleaned it out.
All right. Does anybody have any questions? Brandy.
I do have one question. When on a weekend, if there's a water break or there's water coming out of a meter pit, who should a resident call? Is there a good number you could give us?
I don't have the number right offhand, but we do call the police.
You just call here, and we have an answering service,
Okay.
and then they direct that to you.
Okay. I've had a couple people ask, and I wasn't 100% sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Eric.
Thank you.
Next, we'll hear from our city attorney.
Mayor and Council, based upon the most recent seminar that I attended and some recent correspondence I've received from the Attorney General's office, I wanted to just give you a real brief kind of primer on open meeting issues involving things like Facebook, Twitter, email, telephone. because it can be a little bit difficult, and things have changed so much since the open meetings legislation was enacted, particularly technology. Let me start in reverse. Telephones are pretty easy. It's kind of like when you meet in person. It's easy to figure out if you're involved with a majority of the governing body, and if you are, you're going to pretty easily know we can't talk about the business affairs of the city. Let me skip over the one that I'm really wanting to talk about most and talk about Facebook and Twitter. Without knowing here how many of you are involved in that, those platforms are really problematic because they actually invite interaction. They don't, it's easy to like things, it's easy to forward things and send them on to other people. And the real problem with the platform is when you're interacting with one person, another governing body member, you really don't know what other governing body members might be not at the same time, but acting and responding and liking or being involved with a matter that you can talk about things that involve the city on Facebook and Twitter. But if there's an interaction that becomes serial and ends up over time on the same subject involving a majority of the governing body, that's an open meetings violation. So I guess my best advice would be, as a governing body member, if you are on Twitter or Facebook, which is just fine, you can discuss the matters of the city, you can put out there what you think and things you'd like to have happen, but don't interact with one another. Don't like something because you don't know where that's going to go. So it's an individual thing that you can use as a platform. It's great. It's where we are today. But it's the interaction about business matters of the city that can be problematic on those two platforms. Finally, let me talk about email, because that's the one that is a little less easy than the phone to determine when it might become a problem. But the statute defines a meeting as an interactive communication, and again, I've talked about the phone and Twitter and Facebook. Clearly, emails meet that standard. So if there's ever an email that talks about the business of the city, that can be dispersed to the entirety of the council. One member can send an email to somebody else, to somebody else, or to the entirety of the council. That's not a violation of the Open Meetings Act, even if it's an email that relates to city business. But when it becomes interactive and there are responses to that initial email, whether they go to everybody that was on the first one, however that works, that really becomes problematic. So I guess, again, my advice would be, if you're using email to communicate with other council members, be really careful. Don't engage. It's okay, again, to send out an information email, but don't respond to it. Don't make comments to it, because it's a focus of the Attorney General and local district attorneys about these sorts of potential violations of the Open Meetings Act. Because if those sorts of methods were used by a body to try to avoid doing things in public, it's real hard for the public to find out about that, because these are all interactions that occur not kind of out there in front of everybody. So that's why the Attorney General is making a real effort to educate and also to enforce. So I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Doug, I just want to thank you for bringing this up, because, you know, if there is a communication that goes out and all you're doing is baiting somebody to respond, and as soon as somebody responds, now you violated that. So it's really just not wise to send any communication in a group message. Jim?
A couple of just quick questions. Remind me again when this became a guideline or rule or statute. How long has this
been a long time, but interactive communication, when that phrase was first used, I doubt Facebook and Twitter was on anybody's radar.
Sure.
Email was, and that was where the first problems came up, and that's where the Attorney General opinions first started, because of daisy chains or email chains. And, you know, we do a good job here. we're open and transparent. Not all cities and not all bodies that are subject to open meetings are like that. Some of them, kind of intentionally want to do things and really just kind of rubber stamp and not talk about why they're doing them. And this is just a real, this is a way for that to happen, and the Attorney General is recognizing that and trying to be proactive about that.
Okay, thank you.
Ben?
Just had two questions real quick, Doug. On there, one, it becomes a violation of COMA when it is a majority, is that correct?
Yes.
Or so, and that number is 4, but it'd be 5 on the council?
The majority of the council would be 5.
Okay, and then does this also apply to all city boards, such as Hamilton Tourism, Park Board, any of those governing, are they considered governing bodies subject to that?
Yes, they're subject to the Open Meetings Act, and the number may not be the same. It may be a majority of a quorum. That's changed for governing bodies. It's now a majority of the governing body, which is 8, so a majority would be 5.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Doug. Appreciate it. The next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Is there a motion? Ben?
Make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
And Melvin?
I'll second it.
We got a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
And that motion passes 6-0-1. And that brings us to new business, item A, which is consider the appointment of the city treasurer. Josh LaBra is here. If you want to go ahead and come on up and introduce yourself. Our current treasurer is moving out of town, and so we've started the process, and we've ended up with Josh, and we think he's going to be a great treasurer for us.
Good evening.
Tom?
I'll just ask the background.
Been a Park City resident since 2014. Currently work for Sedgwick County Finance. Going to Wichita State for my graduate degree.
Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else? Ben?
I'll go ahead and make a motion here that we approve the appointment of Josh. I'm going to mess it up. Lauber as the city treasurer.
And Brandy.
Second.
Okay. We got a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion passes 7-0. Thank you, Josh. Appreciate it. The next item on the agenda is item B, which consider an appointment to the Stormwater Advisory Board. Richard Statter introduced himself at the last meeting. If you want to go ahead and come on up. But he aggressively put in his application to serve in the community, and since we're trying to get the Stormwater Board going, I wanted to get him on there.
Yes, I'd like to thank His Honor the Mayor for this opportunity. I know that he has seen my resume. For the rest of you, I am a past mayor and past city council member of the city of Porterville, California, population about 50,000, and also served on various boards and committees before my election. And I'm a firm believer that the level of life, the level of the quality of life in our community correlates directly to the involvement of its citizens in the city government. And I look forward to helping Park City, my new chosen home, in any way I can. Thank you, Your Honor.
Does anybody have any questions? No? Ben?
Let me scroll back up there real quick because I keep going to the agenda and I missed the wording. So I'd go ahead and make a motion here that we appoint Mr. Richard, oh man, what's the last name, Statter, to the Stormwater Advisory Board.
And Tom?
I'll second that.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Not seeing any further discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes 7-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I have several little business cards. Any of you want a way of contacting me, I will leave them with the city administrator. You can pick them up at your leisure.
Awesome. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Next item on the agenda is consider the appointment of Scott Crawford to the Convention and Tourism. And I don't think Scott was able to make it this evening. Scott's been a part of coming to CNT for quite a while. Neil reached out to me. I received Scott's application probably about 6 months ago. And Neil kind of reached out and really seen the value that Scott would add to the CNT board and asked me if we could go ahead and appoint him to CNT. Tom?
Well, I'm going to ask a question before I make a motion. Scott's the one that does the basketball at Hartman Arena?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, he does the Kansas high school basketball. Okay. I'd make a motion that we approve Scott Crawford for CNT member.
Jim?
I remember Scott from my time on that board, and he's very qualified, so I second that.
Okay. We got a motion and a second. Not seeing any further discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes 7-0. The next item on the agenda is item D, which is consider the advisability of issuing taxable industrial revenue bonds to Harper Camperland Project. Sarah?
Thank you, Mayor, council members. I'm Sarah Steele with Gilmore & Bell. We're bond counsel to the city, and we're here this evening with a resolution of intent to issue taxable industrial revenue bonds for a project that Dan Lear with Harper Camperland, Dan is here to answer any questions regarding the project. He is planning on constructing this facility in the very near future. Because this is considered retail business, it is not eligible for a property tax exemption. So there's no cost benefit for your review. There's no public hearing required. We're going straight to the resolution of intent not to exceed $5 million. This will be solely for purposes of sales tax exemption on the materials going into construction. And it will be leased, you'll see in the resolution, to F&L Rentals, which is a real estate holding company that Mr. Lear is part of, and then subleased to Harper Camperland. I'd be happy to answer any questions procedurally, or Mr. Lear would be happy to answer any questions on the project.
Anybody have any questions? Tom?
I don't have a question. I was going to make a motion. If somebody else has got a question.
You can make a motion, we can second.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve the issuing of taxable industrial revenue bonds for Harper Camperland project.
Okay, Melvin?
I'll second for a question.
Go ahead.
Where's this place going to be at? Or do I?
Go ahead, Jack.
Southwest corner of 85th and 135.
Okay. Will you be repairing campers or selling?
We will be doing everything.
Everything?
Sales, service, and accessories.
Okay, great.
Or they're going to have a big sale when they get here.
Absolutely. Right. Every day's a sale.
Is this part of the Harper Camperland in Harper, Kansas?
We have a store in Harper, and we also have a store in Great Bend.
Okay, well, thank you.
Ben?
Just kind of off the bat, about how many employees are you looking at starting?
It's a little bit up in the air right now. We'll probably start with 15 to 20 employees, and hopefully we'll grow that to 30 to 40 employees as time goes by.
It's exciting.
It's always exciting when we get to see new businesses come to town, and it's been pretty active for us over the last, really the last quarter, and growth has been phenomenal. So we look forward to have you join our family here.
Good. We're very excited about being here.
Looking forward to seeing our new flag posted out front. All right, we got a motion and a second. Dee, do you have that resolution number?
Yes, sir. 1018-2019.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Not seeing any further discussion. Dee, would you call the roll?
John Lanhara. George Glover.
Aye.
Ben Salcetta.
Aye.
Melvin Kerr.
Aye.
Tom Jones.
Aye.
George Capps.
Aye.
Brandy Bailey.
Aye.
Jim Schrader.
Aye.
And that resolution passes 7-0. Thank you again. Appreciate you coming this evening, too. That brings us to item E, which is consider the waiver of the generally accepted accounting principles for the 2019 financial statements. D?
Apologize, I'm a little out of breath now. Under Kansas statutes, cities are required to do their financial statements according to generally accepted accounting principles, GAAP. It also provides the ability to waive out of that with a resolution with the same wording that we have in our resolution tonight. And sorry. And also with a stipulation that there not be any other ordinances or resolutions that you have that require GAAP basis financials. To my knowledge, we do not have any of those. We've been waiving for a number of years now. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to respond.
This is an annual action that we take every year. That keeps us honest. Jim?
I remember it from previous years, so would move that we waive the generally accepted accounting principles for 2019 financial statements.
Okay, and Tom?
I'll second that.
All right. We got a motion and a second. Do you have a resolution number?
1017-2019.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Not seeing any further discussion, would you call the roll?
John O'Hare. George Glover.
Aye.
Ben Salcetta.
Aye.
Melvin Kerr.
Aye.
Tom Jones.
Aye.
George Capps.
Aye.
Brandy Bailey.
Aye.
Jim Schrader.
Aye.
And that resolution passes 7-0. Thank you. That brings us to item F, which is consider setting a special meeting date on either Monday, February 4th or Wednesday, February 6th for the City Council and Planning Commission to hold a workshop with RDG, Planning and Design, to review the preliminary Park City pedestrian connectivity plan. Deanna? Hopefully everybody's had time to look at their calendars. You got that put on there so we can pick out a date quickly.
Mayor and Council, thank you for your consideration this evening. The reason for this meeting is to have a combined meeting with the Planning Commission and the Council. And what you would be doing is looking at the plan as it is currently put together and would be presented to the Planning Commission. Wanting ideas to see how things are working, if you have anything that you would like to see changed. Then the next step would be for that to be presented to the Planning Commission for approval, and then back to the Council for the final approval, and then it would be ready to be put into action. These two dates are the dates that Marty is available to come into town.
Tom?
I have an issue with Wednesday. I can do Monday. So, not that I don't want to hold everybody else up, but I won't be able to do Wednesday.
Okay, Jim?
Just going to weigh in that I can do either day.
Okay. George?
I can do either day, too.
Okay. Melvin?
I have a previous engagement to Wednesday. So.
And now we're going to start flipping coins. So your problem was a Wednesday or Monday?
Yeah, Wednesday.
Okay,
He's
we're
all right.
on the
Yep.
same path.
Oh, I can do Monday.
Okay.
I can
No
too.
problem Wednesday.
Anybody else? Somebody want to make a motion for Monday? Brandy?
I make a motion that we approve a special meeting on Monday, February 4th, 2019, to review the preliminary Park City pedestrian connectivity master plan.
Okay. And that will be at what time, Anna?
6 is preferred, but we would make that a different time. 6 would be a preferred time.
That would be the time, Brandy.
6 o'clock, yes.
Okay. Jim?
I second that.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Not seeing any further discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes 7-0.
And thank you, and I just want to say this is another one of those projects where there's been a big component of public engagement, and it's going to improve the livability of our community, and this is exciting, so thank you.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is item G, which is consider the appointment of 2 council members to serve on a committee to review the request for proposals for inspection services on the bridge over Chisholm Creek on 61st Street. Jack?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Kansas Department of Transportation changed their procedure on the selection of inspection services for their projects. Used to, you just get a sheet of paper and have a bunch of engineers listed that are qualified. You just pick one and go with it. Now they're making us go through a selection process. I'd like to get 2 council members to serve on the committee with 3 staff members, so we have a 5-member selection committee, and proceed forward with this and get some participation from the council in the process. And whoever agrees to be on this committee, if they could stop by my table right after the meeting, I'd take maybe 2 minutes of your time and get you going on the process. So.
I feel like everybody's probably been a little committed out lately, and I think everybody's participated in pretty much everything we got going on, and we have a couple other committees, but is anybody interested in serving in this capacity?
I don't think it's a requirement to have council members. I just thought it might be good to have you participate in it. So.
Melvin?
I'm not volunteering by no means, but I think Inspector Tom would probably be a good one.
Thanks.
That might be a little problematic since Tom works for a consulting engineering firm.
They don't do bridges. So.
Well, it's...
Yeah. But I'm not working for him, so.
I don't know. I think since Melvin volunteered somebody, I think he just signed up.
Whoa.
Thanks, Melvin.
Jim?
Jack, can you tell me tell me again, what's the timetable? When do you think this is going to kick in? What time of year?
Well,
this committee.
The deadline is going to be May 22nd.
Of which month?
Huh?
Which month?
May
20th.
Okay. They knew I have a specific deadline and like to get it done for my departure, so it doesn't leave somebody with a whole mess of stuff to take care of. So.
Well, I want to do my part, but I was making sure that we'd be finished up on another committee I'm on that's been taking a lot of time.
I would say this one's going to be pretty low.
Yes.
And I mean, you're just going to look at the proposals that come back, score them, turn your sheet back into Jack.
All right.
So this one, really low level of commitment. There's not going to be a bunch of 1-hour meetings dragging out multiple nights and weeks leading up to it. Should be a pretty simple review process.
It's similar to what we did on the other.
Yeah, it's kind of what I was asking. I'll volunteer with Melvin.
I like how this is going down. Tom?
Unless, if Jack really thinks there's a conflict of interest, I won't do it, but otherwise I would step up and do it.
I personally don't think there's a conflict, except a couple of the people that are participating on it wanted to know if there was any other people that work for any other engineers that were going to serve on this committee. It kind of gave me the impression they were a little nervous.
Okay.
About it, but I certainly
That's
don't
fine.
think you would have a conflict of interest since Miller is not submitted. Now, if he had submitted for the inspection work, then there would be, but no. It's just that
Appearances.
a couple of them, I don't know if they know you or know of you or whatever, they were a little nervous of the fact that somebody with another engineering firm might be, involved. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's a conflict of interest on it.
It's up to council. I don't have a problem with it, but I'm listening to Jack too. So.
Randy, did you want to make a motion?
Yeah, I was going to make a motion. I canceled it. But,
I know.
I'll make a motion that we appoint Councilmember Jim and Melvin to review requests for proposals for an engineering firm to perform inspection services on the bridge over Chisholm Creek on 61st Street North.
Ben?
I'm gonna second that for just a quick discussion.
Okay.
This is why you don't buzz in too early there.
Yeah.
No, then you get put on committees. So I'm in full support of this group.
All right, we got a motion and a second. Not seeing any further discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion passes 7-0, so Melvin's okay with it. He voted for it. All right, the next item on the agenda is item H, which is consider authorizing the purchase of 100 5/8 and 3/4 KDHE meters and 21-inch meters for $47,277 to be paid out of the water department budget. Eric? And this is a typical thing we do annually.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. Yes, this is annual. Just to give you a brief background of why we're ordering 100 of the 5/8 and 3/4, that's our standard replacement meter. We use the 1-inch meters for brand new installs, and just wish your consideration for authorizing the purchase.
Randy?
These are consistent with what we've done over the past several years, and
Correct.
are these are remote read meters?
Yeah, yes.
Okay. George?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the purchase of 100 5/8 inch times 3/4 inch meters and 21-inch meters in the amount of $47,277 to be paid out of the water budget.
And Melvin?
I'll second that. Are these about the same price what we paid last year for that? Seems like.
A little bit higher,
A little bit higher, okay.
just a touch.
Don't seem like it, okay. All right, I'll second it.
Tom?
And I think Brandy covered it, but I didn't hear the magic word. These are the electronic meters,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's kind of been the direction we want to go.
That's right.
We can simplify our lives later on.
That's it.
Exactly. We got a motion and a second. Not seeing any further discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes 7-0. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is just governing body remarks. I just want to say that, man, the last 2 quarters, but more or less the last quarter, the growth within the city has been phenomenal. I mean, from what we've done in new housing permits, new businesses that we're going to start seeing in construction, getting ready to start breaking ground on stuff, has been very exciting. It's really good time for us right now with the growth. I'm excited over some of the benefits that we've done this year to back our employees. I think the council has shown support to our employees and their development, and I'm excited to see that go forward in 2019. I feel like we have a strong leadership. We have strong department managers that lead their departments fantastic. You couldn't ask for a better quality of people that we have right now. And even those individuals that work underneath them are high caliber. I cannot say that I have not been more proud in the 6 years of sitting here than where we are right now in 2019. And that's due to hard work from our employees, their dedication to the city, and also from the council willing to support them and trust them and their knowledge. They bring to us a lot of things that improve, streamline, and really make our system of government work better. And some of the things we did at the last meeting, just the impacts it's going to have within departments and continue to raise morale. Just so excited to be here. So I just want to throw that out. Jim?
I really can't add anything more than what Dana already said on that flag, but I'm really excited about that, and I think it's a neat design, and I think the rollout will be fun, even though it's February and it's cold. Think of it as something fun to do on a cold day, potentially cold day, and we're planning for that to accommodate. So I think it'll be a fun day for the kids and for the adults alike. So thanks. That's all I have.
So I just want to touch on the flag. That was another one of my big things I wanted to see happen in just rebranding the city. And just looking forward to that reveal, looking forward to our website when we get that updated and finally brought online to match our branding with what we're going on. I mean, we all should really feel a sense of accomplishment and pride with where we're at within it. Brandy?
I just have a couple of things. First, I get a newsletter at my daytime job, and there's some funding that's out there that the state's offering for a swimming pool where it's 60% state funded, 40% local government funded. Jack, maybe next meeting, could you look into this a little bit and see if it's something we might qualify for, what potentially the cost might be to the city, if it's something we looked into a little bit more? Just maybe see if you could get us a little bit more information on it.
Do you know what department did it come out of?
I can look at the, I go look.
Yeah.
It's still on the daily email I get, so I'll look and see, because there's a direct link to the state's department for it. Second, just an update on the search for our next city administrator. Our committee is meeting again on Thursday with our consultant to talk about the applicants. We've gotten a list of 10 really good applicants right now, and we're in the process of reviewing them. So we're on track, I think, to where we need to be.
George?
I just think we need to pray for our country and our city. So
I'd like to add on what Brandy was talking about. I think Cake TV ran something on that last week, and it's a state. I want to say Commerce, but I'm not sure that's who it was. Just want to advise everybody that the bids for the green project on 235 widening and bridges west of Broadway is going to be open next week, bid opening, and they're going to start the project the second week of March, weather agreeing. So anything between Meridian and Broadway, or really almost 135, is going to be a hassle for probably about a year. Make everybody aware of that.
Thanks, Tom. Melvin?
I'm good.
Ben?
Yeah, so a couple things here. This Saturday will be the first of 2019 Convos Over Coffee, so looking forward to that. It's 9:30 there at the Daylight Donuts here in town. I invite you to come on out and talk about a few of the things that were mentioned tonight there, the city flag reveal and branding that's coming up. We talked about that and some other things. So come on out this Saturday. And then also tomorrow is National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day, and so I want to encourage all of our citizens there to take a moment. If you see an officer out, make sure to thank him or her for their sacrifice there. And then look at other ways that you can show support for them, writing letters, bringing them cookies. I'm sure there's a lot of things that they'd appreciate there, but just make sure to take time to appreciate our law enforcement for all that they do.
Okay. George?
Yeah, I'd also like to thank our citizens for stepping up, being part of our boards that we have, the park board, and volunteering for that. I know that can take away from family, but I just wanted to thank you for your service to the community and the things that you've added to that. Also, the city administrator search, we've got some excellent candidates that we're looking at, so we're in the process of continuing to work on that. Also, I think, Jack, that was Department of Commerce on the swimming, just so you know. Thank you.
Did you have a motion, George?
Yeah, I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
And Ben?
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. Not seeing any further discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion passes 7-0.